For early fans of AC/DC, the band has never been the same since the untimely death of its lead singer, Bon Scott. Now the life and times of the charismatic frontman are being brought to the stage by some hardcore and well-known fans. The musical is called Hell Ain't a Bad Place to Be, and it's currently playing in Melbourne before heading to Sydney later in the year. Cheryl Hall reports.
I saw AC/DC at the Camberwell Town Hall. I remember just being staggered and thrown against the back wall by the sound, the volume, but also Bon's charisma, the lyrics. They're sort of rough and ready, but they're clever and smart.
Brian Nankervis was just one of many impressionable teenagers who will never forget the impact of AC/DC and Bon Scott on the Australian music scene in the 70s.
Bon was this incredible, charismatic, unpredictable, as Doug Parkinson says in the show, a mercurial and slightly frightening, mysterious character. I think we need you and Doug to be happy with
Oh, I'm happy. Yeah.
Doug is very happy as well. So.
Oh, good.
He and writer Andrew Barker have brought together those who knew him, as well as some of his biggest fans, to tell his story.
It was very sherbet and very nice and very glam, and all of a sudden you got this guy, you know. And this is the memory that a lot of guys my age have of Bon Scott, dressed as a schoolgirl, with smoking a fag, just leering into the camera, singing "Baby Please Don't Go," you know. And it just, as a whatever I was, 12-year-old kid, it blew my mind, you know. I was just like, that's fantastic.
Rock musician Nick Barker plays a starstruck fan. He sings AC/DC's biggest hits and narrates Bon Scott's story.
I originally balked at it because Bon Scott, I think people forget what an incredible singer and what an incredible range he had. People are very close to Bon Scott, like they are to Ned Kelly, you know what I mean? It's a very emotive thing, and you wouldn't want to kind of muck it up. I insisted on a couple of things, and one of them that I could handpick the band, and the band that we're using they're the kind of cream of Melbourne hard rock, I reckon, and they're all bona fide AC/DC squids, I call them, because they just know every last song, and they just kind of, no, that wasn't it, and they're purists.
The personal perspective comes from Doug Parkinson, who knew him and toured with him.
The seasons go so quickly, you don't know who you are.
It will surprise AC/DC fans to know that Bon Scott also played in some very different bands. A teeny bopper band called the Valentines and a hippie band, Fraternity.
I've got a lot of input in the time that I knew him well, which were the first band, the Spectres, the Valentines, which were a successful teeny bopper band at the time while I was going around. And then as the Australian music industry changed, the Valentines, which was everyone puffed marijuana cigarettes and made music, man. Imagine if he hadn't died prematurely, Bon would have been a little old grey-haired man now, probably just as feisty.
Doug Parkinson managed to clean himself up and escape what he calls the Grim Reaper. Not so Bon Scott.
We do know that he'd been drinking hard. You know, he really, there's no disguising that. He gave it a nudge. And this one particular night, he drank hard with a mate. Bon passed out in the front seat, tried to get him upstairs to his flat, drove him to his flat, couldn't take him inside, rang an old girlfriend. She said, just lay him out, cover him with a blanket, he'll be fine. This happens all the time. And he wasn't, you know. He choked on his vomit, he was alone, and it was a tragic ending.
And I'm going down.
It's a big price to pay to become a rock and roll legend.
I mean, you see a lot of guys with a Ned Kelly tattoo or a Bon Scott tattoo. I just see him as a modern day bushranger, you know, just this kind of rock and roll outlaw, if you like. Cliched, I know, but it's true. And he just lived it.
I'm on a highway.
Cheryl Hall with that report, and that